Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and let's talk about the elephant in the room first. We have a different background and a chaotic background because we've literally just moved in to our new home here in Houston. So please don't mind the mess. We literally just moved in like 2 days ago, but I wanted to get some filming done because I wanted to join in to a mid-year freakout tag. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop in. First, we'll go through our stats here on Miss Story Graph. Let's see. We are currently at 43 books read here in 2024. I am 57% of the way through my goal of reading 75 books this year. According to Storygraph, I am 5 books ahead of where I am supposed to be here in the year of our Lord 2024. So moods, my biggest moods have been adventurous, mysterious, lighthearted, and funny, which sounds about right. My books have been medium paced, and most of them have fallen in between the page numbers of 300 to 499 pages. I've only read one nonfiction this year, which we need to increase that number because I had a goal of reading, I think, 5 this year, which I feel like is very possible to do, and we will do it. It will happen. Genres, surprisingly, it's fantasy with 23, romance with 17, which I feel like might be also due to the fact that a lot of the fantasies probably have the romance tag in them as well. So I feel like that's where that comes from. And then we have mystery at 15. So those are my top 3 genres. And most of them have been read in print. I've done a lot of mixed medium with my reading, so this isn't entirely accurate, but I prefer to read physical books if I can, but that doesn't mean I don't just kind of flip around and do what I want. No surprise, but my most read authors of this year have been Jane Austen and Jim Butcher, basically because I've done 2 challenges where I tried to read all of Jane Austen's novels, and I'm currently rereading all of the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, so no surprise there. And then my average rating is pretty good. It's a 3.86, and the highest value I have is 11 with 4 stars. Now that we've gotten through these lovely bookish stats, let's go ahead and jump into the questions of the mid-year freakout book tag. Mid-year freakout book tag, that's a mouthful. The best book that I've read so far this year is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty. I love this book. I actually listened to a talk that the author S.A. Chakraborty gave at Sarah Lawrence. They had like the opportunity for people to join virtually for free for a chat that she was giving about like how to use history in your fictions and how to make sure that you're, not just picking and pulling, but being historically accurate. And this is pretty relevant to The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi because it's a historical fiction, a historical fantasy fiction. So it does take place in our world, but there are more magical elements, and it follows Amina, who is a pirate. I can't remember the word that they actually use for pirate in the book off the top of my head. But she is a former pirate captain who has been out of the business for 10 years and gets pulled in for one last adventure because it's gonna set her and her family up so they can live comfortably, because she has a daughter which is the reason she decided to hang up her hat as captain of her ship. And the story actually takes place in, I believe it's the 13th century, the 1200s, something around there, and it is about like the Indian Ocean. Apparently there was a really diverse and rich history with the maritime lifestyle in like the Indian Ocean and in like basically like trade routes between what we would call the Middle East today, going to India and even over possibly to China. There were like really big maritime trade going on there. And so Shannon Chakraborty, she actually studied this time period in college, and so she is a historian, and she has used her knowledge and her ability to research to give a very rich telling of this time period. And she made a point about how she wanted to have a female character in the past who experienced joy and had a career and had a full life, because she was, you know, she made a great point that yes, things currently, but especially historically, we are often told that, you know, the limitations that people who identified as women had in the past. But she also wanted to point out that for as long as humans have been pedaling on this earth, women have found ways to create joyful lives for themselves, and she wanted to portray somebody like that, and so that is Amina. I could go and gush on this, but I really did just think she created such a rich world. I was so intrigued by this time period, and I do want to learn more about it. But yeah, it's a great book. If you haven't read it, I know it came out last year. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I've thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I can't wait. She's she just posted on her Instagram a couple days ago that she had like 70K for the second book in the series, so I'm excited. Okay, let's stop gushing and move on. So, number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and I've read a couple sequels, but I ended up going with Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. I would say this was my most anticipated sequel of 2024 thus far. It's a like cozy, it's like dark academia, but like not dark academia with fantasy elements. It is just like all the cozy fun. It's a bit of a sunshine, grumpy romance story as well, but kind of gender reverse, which you don't see as much. So like the guy is the sunshine and the girl is more of the grumpy one. Definitely check it out. I don't know, I just rambled on for who knows how long. Okay, next up. Release you haven't read yet but are excited to read. Oh, I didn't put the author. I think it's Sophia Kim. I'll have to double check. So this was a pretty easy one for me. I happened to see this one in Half Price Books. I didn't even know it came out, and it sounds like the K-drama of my dreams. It's called The God in the Gumio by Sophia Kim. I'll go ahead and by Sophie Kim. I'll go ahead and just read you the tagline here. In this sly and dazzling contemporary fantasy, the most notorious nine-tailed fox in Korea pairs up with a trickster god turned detective to track down a wrathful demon before it can destroy the mortal world. But this just sounds like it needs to be a K-drama. So everyone go and like the book, read the book, make it popular, and then that way Netflix can pair up with some Korean production studios and make us the Korean drama of our dreams. Please and thank you. Next. Anticipated release for the second half of 2024. So this was a little hard for me. I don't know how all the girlies find these new releases. I am still, again, new to the booktube world, but I do have some in my cart on bookshop.org. If you don't know what bookshelf.org is, it is a website that will help you give money back to your local bookstores, but still buy new books. It's not going to be the cheapest way to buy your books because it is an indie bookstore, like online book storefront. So if you choose a bookstore when you make a purchase on bookshelf.org, a portion of those proceeds will go to a local bookstore. It's a great way to buy some new books and also support your local bookstore, especially if, you know, maybe they are more of like a used bookstore, so they don't carry as many new releases. So I try to buy books on here when I can. Obviously, it's nice to get discounts because we all know that books cost a lot of money. But I like to kind of shop around and see, and if I can find a book that's pretty much the same price as I would get it on Barnes, I go ahead and grab it on bookshelf.org so I can support a local bookstore. With that in mind, I had this new release in my cart. I have a couple cozy fantasies that are coming out at the later half of this year that are in my cart, and this one is called House of Frank by Kay Sinclair. I will just read the tagline for you. A warm and hopeful story of a lonely witch consumed by grief who discovers a whimsical cast of characters in a magical arboretum and the healing power of found family. Doesn't that sound delightful? I really like the arboretum. You know, there was another one I had in my cart that has a bed and breakfast, but I've done a couple. I've already read a series with witches and a bed and breakfast. I know there's a couple of them, so the arboretum really piqued my interest. So I'm looking forward to that one. Let me know if you are looking forward to it too. I haven't heard anybody talk about it yet, but it sounds super cute. Next, let's get a little shady here, shall we? The biggest disappointment for me this year. I was having a tough time with this. I was between two books on here, but I chose Moral Longings by Chloe Gong because this series is pitched as like a Hunger Games with sci-fi and, you know, political machinations and different things like that. And it just didn't really do it for me. Moving on. Biggest surprise. So this one, I think I heard about it from, it was either Gabby from Gabby Reads or Katie from Katie Reads? Katie Marie from Katie Reads? I don't know. We'll talk about them later. I gotta look up tags. I gotta look up people's handles. But I either heard it from Gabby or Katie, and that is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This is actually the last book that I finished here in the month of June. It's July now, but that I finished before we got to the end of this first half of the year. And the reason I say this is the biggest surprise is because I'm not really a romance girly. I have a hard time. I've read a couple of romances this year, and they've been fun, but none that have really, like, you know. But I really, really like this one. I give it 5 stars, which I don't think I've given any just pure romance, contemporary romance novel 5 stars, but I absolutely loved The Paradise Problem. The Paradise Problem follows Anna and Liam. So you get 2 perspectives. That's, you know, your female lead and your male lead. And Anna and Liam got married on paper in order to get family housing back when Liam was getting his master's and Anna was, or he was getting his PhD and Anna was getting her bachelor's. And Anna thinks that they got divorced when Liam moved out, and we pick up with them 3 years later. So they were married for 2 in college, and then 3 years later we pick up and Liam pops back into Anna's life and basically lets her know that they were still married and that he needs her to come on a 10-day island vacation for his sister's wedding, because in order for him to receive his inheritance, his complete inheritance, he has to be married for 5 years. So we've got like a fake dating situation, which was fun, but Anna and Liam were both really well-rounded characters, and I liked how the relationship built up. I really enjoyed the conversation she was having about family and different types of families and like conditional love. And just, it was a really fun story. It was a great summer read. We had a very beachy setting. I highly recommend it. Next, new favorite author. So this one was kind of tough because most of the books that I've read this year have either been, that I've read like multiple books of, have either been a reread with Jim Butcher, or like in a series. So it's kind of hard to say like outside of a series if they're my favorite author, if it's my favorite series, you know what I mean? So with this one, I actually went with Jane Austen because I have read all of her works. So I feel like I have a good idea of who she is as an author. And though there were some that I did not like, I absolutely loved reading Pride and Prejudice, which it held up so well. And I think overall, considering how many adaptations of Jane Austen novels I've also enjoyed, I feel like she's just had a really big impact on my life, and I really enjoyed creating that video series. Okay, newest fictional crush. So I have seen that a lot of people have skipped this one, but I figured it kind of gave me a way to do like two different favorite characters. So my newest fictional crush is Stoker from the Veronica Speedwell series by Diana Raybourn. His development throughout the first 4 books in the series that I've read, I think seeing him open back up to the world has been wonderful, and we love a competent male character. Love to see him. Speaking of fave characters, so this is no offense to Veronica, because I do love Veronica Speedwell, but I think I'm gonna have to put Amina Al-Sarafi above Veronica as my new favorite character. We love the middle-aged, badass bitch pirate captain. Period. Next, a book that made you cry. I don't think there's been a book that's made me cry this year, but I will tell you a book that made my heart hurt, and that was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. My heart hurt so much for Jeanette throughout that book. I know I'm late to the game, but it really is a great memoir, and I sincerely hope that she is in a much better place now, which I'm assuming she is since she's writing about it. On a lighter note, favorite reread. I went with this one. I saw some people use the favorite reread opposed to favorite adaptation because I don't really have one for that one. So favorite reread, I chose Summer Night by Jim Butcher, which is the 4th book in the series. I won't talk ad nauseum about it. I have a spoiler vlog. I will link that down below if you want to hear all my thoughts and opinions. I kind of alluded to this one. Favorite video that you've made so far this year? Hi! You ever had some time? You gonna go and check out that window? Pumpkin has so many windows now to hang out in. Yay! Look at the window. It's so nice. I alluded to this one already, but I do think that my Jane Austen vlog, where I read all of Jane Austen's novels, was my favorite video that I've made so far this year. I had so much fun making that video and just getting into the spirit of things that it just holds some really great memories for me. Again, I'll link that video down below too if you're interested in watching it, but I just felt like it really helped me, especially as I was laid off in January. Using my February to read Jane Austen and just make some fun vlogs was a great way to lift my spirits. Hi! Hello, puppets! Speaking of that, there is a question about the most beautiful book that you acquired so far this year, and I've got two very pretty books that I got from a limited crate, but I think my favorite book that I currently have kind of acquired this year was the Jane Austen compendium that I actually decorated. I'll put a picture here, and then I will link the video down below where I went ahead and took you through a little bit of that process of painting that book and giving it a glow up. I loved how it turned out, and I just love it so much. What books do I really need to get to by the end of the year? So for this one, as I mentioned, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi is my favorite book thus far this year, and because of that, I really want to get to the first book in the in S.A. Chakraborty's first series, and that's The City of Brass, and I already own it, so I've already purchased it, I've already committed to it, so I really want to read that one before the end of the year, and hopefully more. We'll see. And that brings us to the last question here in the mid-year freakout tag wrap-up, and that is booktubers that I love to watch or have been watching a lot of here in 2024. So I have three that really came to mind off the top of my head. So the first one is Gavin Reads It All. I love Gavin so much. I think that he has such a fun personality and just seems like he'd be a great person to have some Prosecco with. Just saying. But I also like the diversity of Gavin's reading choices, and I just love his creativity when it comes to making videos. With that in mind, the person who got me into booktube is Allie from Alice and Pages. Not only was she the YouTuber who got me into the booktube community, but she is still my favorite. She is so fantastic. She has such a unique voice and just brings so much light and honesty to all of her videos and so much creativity. I hope that she is doing well, and I hope eventually she'll be able to come back onto YouTube. It's always important to take care of your health, so if you happen to see this, Allie, I hope that you are doing well, and I'm sending you lots of love and positive vibes your way. So yeah, go check her out. She's got so many videos on her channel, and you will not be disappointed. I have rewatched multiple of her videos whenever I need a little pick-me-up. My final booktuber who I love to watch their videos and love their chill vibes, and that is Katie Marie from Katie Reads. I found her through Allie, like many other people have, and I think that she just has a very cozy channel. I always enjoy her videos whenever they pop up on Friday. I really enjoy her channel, so feel free to check her out if you haven't. But if you're here, I feel like you probably have checked out all three of them. But with that in mind, I know that Kayla from Books and Lala also mentioned this, but I am going to tag the creators of the mid-year freakout tag in the description. Thank you all so much for making this. This was super fun, and I'm excited to do this next year. But that wraps up my video. I would love to hear your answers to the mid-year freakout tag. If you have a video, drop it down below. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to stick around for more bookish and nerdish content, feel free to subscribe. I upload every Sunday and sometimes on Wednesday. And until next time, I hope you read a good book, I hope you find some joy, and most importantly, I hope that you do something to make the world a better place, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!